The boy and the man in the overcoat. Timmy Reynolds was 10 years old when he first saw the man in the overcoat. It was a cold October evening, the kind where the wind howled like a wounded animal and the skeletal trees clawed at the darkening sky. Timmy was walking home from his friend Jake's house, kicking a pebble along the cracked sidewalk, when he felt it, the prickling sensation of being watched. He turned around. There, beneath the flickering street lamp at the end of the block, stood a tall, gaunt man wearing a long, tattered overcoat that dragged along the ground. His face was hidden beneath the shadow of a wide-brimmed hat, but Timmy could see his lips, thin and pale, stretched into a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Timmy's breath hitched. He quickened his pace, his sneakers slapping against the pavement. When he glanced back, the man was still there, only now he was closer. Much closer. The man took a step forward. Timmy ran. He didn't stop until he reached his house, slamming the door behind him and locking it with trembling fingers. His mother, stirring a pot of soup in the kitchen, frowned. "Timmy, what's wrong?" There was a man," he gasped. "He was following me." His mother's face paled. She rushed to the window, peering out into the darkness. What did he look like? Tall, wearing a big coat and a hat. He was smiling at me. His mother's hands shook as she pulled the curtains shut. "Stay inside," she whispered. "Don't go out after dark." That night, Timmy dreamed of the man in the overcoat. In the dream, the man stood at the foot of his bed, his long fingers curling around the bed frame. His voice was a dry rasp, like dead leaves scraping against stone. "You'll come with me soon, Timothy." Timmy woke up screaming. The next morning, his mother called the police. Officer Grady, a tired-looking man with a thick mustache, listened as Timmy described the stranger. When he mentioned the overcoat, the officer's pen stilled. "You're sure about the coat?" Grady asked, his voice tight. Timmy nodded. Officer Grady exchanged a glance with Timmy's mother, then he sighed. "There's something you should know." 30 years ago, a man in a long overcoat had stalked the children of Blackwood. He would appear at night, whispering to them through their windows, tapping on their doors. Then, one by one, the children began to disappear. The last child taken was a boy named Daniel Reynolds, Timmy's uncle. "They never found him," Officer Grady said grimly, "or the man in the coat." Timmy's blood turned to ice. That evening, Timmy's mother insisted on keeping all the lights on. She checked the locks 3 times before bed. But as Timmy lay beneath his covers, his eyes glued to the closet door, he heard it, a soft tap, tap, tap against his window. His breath caught. Slowly, he turned his head. The man in the overcoat was outside, his face pressed against the glass, his grin stretching impossibly wide. His fingers scraped slowly down the pane. Tap, tap, tap. Timmy wanted to scream, but no sound came out. The man's eyes, black as oil, locked onto his. Then, in a voice that slithered into Timmy's mind like a snake, the man whispered, "You look just like your uncle." Timmy's heart stopped. The man's grin widened. He screamed so much before he stopped. Suddenly, the window creaked open. A cold, rotten stench filled the room as the man's long, skeletal fingers reached. Inside. Bang! The front door slammed open downstairs. Heavy footsteps thundered up the stairs. The man in the overcoat hissed, recoiling as Timmy's bedroom door burst open. Officer Grady stood there, gun drawn. Behind him were 3 more officers. "Freeze!" Grady barked. The man in the overcoat let out a guttural snarl, then lunged straight for Timmy. Bang, bang. The gunshots echoed through the house. The man staggered back, clutching his chest, but no blood spilled. Instead, a thick, black smoke curled from the holes in his coat. With a final, rasping laugh, the man turned, and leaped out the window, vanishing into the night. The police searched for hours, but found no trace of him. As dawn broke, Timmy sat at the kitchen table, wrapped in a blanket, still shaking. Officer Grady sighed, running a hand over his face. "We'll keep looking," he promised. "But I have to ask, that thing said you looked like your uncle." Timmy nodded. Grady hesitated. "Timmy, your mother never had a brother." Timmy's blood ran cold. His mother, standing by the stove, froze, her face twisted in confusion. What are you talking about? Of course I had a brother. Daniel, he disappeared when he was 10. Officer Grady's expression darkened. "Ma'am, there's no record of a Daniel Reynolds, no missing persons report, no family photos, nothing." Timmy's mother shook her head. "No, that's not. I remember him. He was real." But as she spoke, her voice wavered. Her eyes flickered to the hallway, where a single, dusty photograph hung, a picture of her as a child. Standing beside her was a shadowy figure in an overcoat, his hand on her shoulder. And in the reflection of the glass, the figure was smiling. Timmy's breath caught, because now he understood. The man in the overcoat hadn't taken his uncle. He had taken his mother. And now he was back for Timmy.
The storm was closing in, and the last squad standing was down to just me, Shadow Strike, and my teammate Rusty. We had dropped into Wailing Woods, the dense forest that always gave us the creeps, but it was the only quiet spot left on the map. The storm was shifting toward Lonely Lodge, so we had to move fast. But something was wrong. The trees swayed unnaturally, even though there was no wind. The usual ambient sounds, birds chirping, leaves rustling, were gone. Instead, a low, guttural whisper slithered through the air. "You shouldn't be here." Rusty froze. "Bro, did you hear that?" I laughed nervously. Probably just another player messing with us. Then the bushes moved. Not like someone was hiding, more like they were alive, twisting and reaching toward us. Rusty backed up. Nah, I'm out." He turned to run, but the ground beneath him opened up. A skeletal hand shot out, gripping his ankle. He screamed as more hands emerged, dragging him down into the dirt, his health bar drained to 0 in seconds. Rusty was eliminated by. My heart pounded. This wasn't in the game. This wasn't supposed to happen. I sprinted toward Lonely Lodge, but the trees, they were closing in. Branches lashed out like whips, scratching at my skin. The whispers grew louder, chanting in a language I didn't understand. Then I saw her. A figure in a tattered white dress floating above the ground. Her face was pale, her eyes hollow. The Wailing Widow, a ghostly skin that wasn't in the shop. She reached for me, her fingers stretching unnaturally long. I fired my shotgun. The blast passed right through her. She laughed. The storm was almost on me. I had no choice. I ran, my screen flickering like the game was glitching. The world twisted, and suddenly, I wasn't in Wailing Woods anymore. I was in a real forest. Cold, dark, the air smelled like rot. My headset crackled. A voice not Rusty's, not any player's, rasped. "You're in my world now." I tore off my headset, but the whispers didn't stop. The screen went black. Then slowly, words appeared in dripping red text. "You died." But I hadn't respawned. And I couldn't log out. The last thing I saw was the Wailing Widow's face, pressing through the screen, her mouth stretching into a grin. Play again. The storm was closing in, and the last squad standing was down to just me, Shadow Strike, and my teammate Rusty. We had dropped into Wailing Woods, the dense forest that always gave us the creeps, but it was the only quiet spot left on the map. The storm was shifting toward Lonely Lodge, so we had to move fast. But something was wrong. The trees swayed unnaturally, even though there was no wind. The usual ambient sounds, birds chirping, leaves rustling, were gone. Instead, a low, guttural whisper slithered through the air. "You shouldn't be here." Rusty froze. "Bro, did you hear that?" I laughed nervously. Probably just another player messing with us. Then the bushes moved. Not like someone was hiding, more like they were alive, twisting and reaching toward us. Rusty backed up. "Nah, nah, nah, I'm out." He turned to run, but the ground beneath him opened up. A skeletal hand shot out, gripping his ankle. He screamed as more hands emerged, dragging him down into the dirt, his health bar drained to 0 in seconds. Rusty was eliminated by. My heart pounded. This wasn't in the game. This wasn't supposed to happen. I sprinted toward Lonely Lodge, but the trees, they were closing in. Branches lashed out like whips, scratching at my skin. The whispers grew louder, chanting in a language I didn't understand. Then I saw her. A figure in a tattered white dress floating above the ground. Her face was pale, her eyes hollow. The Wailing Widow, a ghostly skin that wasn't in the shop. She reached for me, her fingers stretching unnaturally long. I fired my shotgun. The blast passed right through her. She laughed. The storm was almost on me. I had no choice. I ran, my screen flickering like the game was glitching. The world twisted, and suddenly, I wasn't in Wailing Woods anymore. I was in a real forest, cold, dark. The air smelled like rot. My headset crackled. A voice, not Rusty's, not any player's, rasped. "You're in my world now." I tore off my headset, but the whispers didn't stop. The screen went black. Then slowly, words appeared in dripping red text. "You died." But I hadn't respawned. And I couldn't log out. The last thing I saw was the Wailing Widow's face, pressing through the screen, her mouth stretching into a grin. "Play again. The end. Want a sequel? What if the next time you load into Fortnite, she recognizes you? Face screaming in fear. Yeah, tell me Fortnite phantoms. The Screaming Sky. Sequel to The Haunting of Wailing Woods. It's been a week since I escaped the Wailing Widow. At least, I thought I escaped. I stopped playing Fortnite, deleted it, even threw out my headset. But last night my console turned on by itself. The game launched automatically. The lobby music was distorted, slowed down, warped like a broken record. And my skin. I was wearing the Wailing Widow. I tried to shut it off, but my controller wouldn't respond. The screen flickered. And then I was in the game. Not playing it, inside it. The battle bus soared through a storm-blackened sky, but there were no other players, just me and the whispers. You came back. The bus didn't stop. It kept flying higher until the island below was just a speck. Then the sky tore open. A gaping, bleeding rift screaming with the voices of 1,000 lost players. The widow's voice cut through them all. You shouldn't have run. The bus lurched into the rift. Darkness. Then I landed in a place that wasn't on the map. The Forgotten Nexus. A twisted version of the island where the storm never moved. The grass was black. The rivers flowed upward. And the buildings, they were made of bones. I had no weapons, no mats, just the widow's skin clinging to me like a curse. Then I saw them. The phantoms. Glitched out husks of old Fortnite skins, players who had disconnected over the years, now trapped here forever. Their faces stretched, their bodies twitching like broken NPCs. They turned toward me, groaning. Join us. I ran, but the ground melted under my feet, pulling me down. The widow appeared in front of me, her grin splitting her face ear to ear. You're mine now. My screen glitched error, player not found. Then everything went black. When I woke up, I was back in my room. My hands were shaking. My console was off. But on my monitor, in jagged text, "See you next drop." And in the reflection of the screen, she was standing behind me. I didn't sleep for days. Every time I closed my eyes, I heard the whispers. Every screen I passed flickered with static glimpses of her face, watching, waiting. Then my friends started disappearing. First, it was Rusty. He messaged me at 3 a.m. "She's in my house." His last online status was playing Fortnite, but he hadn't logged on in weeks. Then my squad, Lynx, Renegade, and Drift, all went offline. Their profiles showed them still in a match for 72 hours straight. I knew what I had to do. I reinstalled Fortnite. The return to the Nexus, the moment I hit play, my screen distorted. The lobby was empty except for me and one other player. Username: Screaming Widow. "Ready to finish the game," she whispered through my headset. Before I could react, the countdown ended. The battle bus launched, but this time the storm was already here. Purple-black tendrils lashed at the bus, dragging us into the rift. We didn't land on the island. We landed in my neighborhood. The game is real now. The streets were twisted, warped like the Nexus. Houses melted into polygons. The sky was the Fortnite storm, swirling with faces of trapped players. And standing in the middle of the road, the Wailing Widow. Her dress billowed in a wind that didn't exist, her fingers stretched into jagged claws. Behind her, my missing friends stood, their skins glitched, their eyes hollow. "You should have stayed gone," the widow hissed. I had no weapons, no builds, just one last trick, the mythic reality shift item I'd found in the Nexus, a single-use escape. But using it meant leaving my friends behind. The widow lunged. I activated it. The aftermath, I woke up in my bed, drenched in sweat. My console was shattered as if something had burst out of it. My phone buzzed. Messages from Rusty, Lynx, Renegade, all saying the same thing. "We're back, but we remember everything." I thought it was over, until I looked at my reflection. My eyes glowed purple, and in the corner of my room, the faint sound of the storm. The true end.
There's a story that circulates on the darker corners of the internet, one even the most loyal SpongeBob fans don't dare discuss. It's about a lost episode, not one you'd find in any DVD collection or streaming platform. They call it Squidward's Silence. It all started when an intern at Nickelodeon found a VHS tape in a dusty archive room. It wasn't labeled with any typical show title or date, just scrawled in black marker. SB 129, Director's Cut. Thinking it was a behind-the-scenes version of a known episode, he popped it in. The episode began normally enough. The cheery ukulele intro, SpongeBob blowing his signature bubbles. But something was off. The colors were desaturated, the sky was a dull gray. SpongeBob didn't smile. He just stood at the Krusty Krab, staring into the distance. Squidward was playing his clarinet, badly as usual, but the music was distorted, low, warped like it was being played underwater. But not the fun Bikini Bottom kind, more like drowning. Then the screen glitched. It cut to Squidward's home at night. The camera zoomed in unnaturally close on his eyes. He blinked once, then twice, and then he started to cry. Not cartoon tears, but hyperrealistic ones. They shimmered down his face in silence, and the only sound was this slow, suffocating static that started to build. Suddenly, the screen flashed red. Images, just for a frame or two, flashed by. A child's drawing of SpongeBob with his face scratched out. A dark hallway underwater with red coral shaped like hands. Mr. Krabs slumped over in the Krusty Krab freezer. Squidward looked up, straight at the viewer. "Why did you let it happen?" he whispered. Then a horrible sound,
A high-pitched shriek like nails on a chalkboard pierced the silence. SpongeBob appeared behind Squidward, eyes black, mouth stretched into an impossible grin, dripping seawater and something darker. The screen went black. For 30 whole seconds. Just breathing. Heavy, wet breathing. Then, the Nickelodeon logo popped up. Bright, happy, totally normal. But if you looked closely, the orange splat had a crack in it, like it was bleeding. No one knows where the original tape is now. The intern who found it reportedly left the company and hasn't been seen online since. Some say if you watch SB 129 at 3:33 a.m. on a stormy night, your screen will glitch and Squidward will ask you the question. Why did you let it happen? And this time, he wants an answer.